Steven, who do you think's having more of a worse week? Elon Musk or Boris Johnson?
What happened with Elon Musk?
He rescinded his offer for Twitter
Oh, oh, I'd
because
say
of
Boris
some baby mama drama, I think.
Oh, ooh, who's this one with?
I don't know. I don't really don't know all the Black Sports Online juicy gossipness of it, but apparently he just has some baby trouble. I actually don't know all the details. I'm probably talking out of turn here, but basically he does not own Twitter anymore. Ernie with the assist here. Thank you, sir. Vince McMahon. Actually, that takes the cake. You are correct. Worst week this week.
Why? What was worse for Vince McMahon? What am I missing?
NDAs, man. It came out that he was paying off women, got an obscene amount of money to keep quiet about his sexual exploits back in the day.
Oh, wow. What a shocker.
This is the XFL.
Yeah. But I'd still say that Boris Johnson resigning, going into Parliament and basically being told, hey, none of us are going to support you anymore. I mean, like, just imagine if that happened with Trump, except Trump didn't actually have any supporters going against him. You had a couple here and there, but literally the entire conservative party just was like, get out of here, Boris. We don't need you anymore. So I'd say Boris is having the worst week.
Hate to bring this up again. Is your mic on again?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Never mind.
Maybe the volume's not up. I think that could be it.
No. Okay. Never mind. I'm just maybe just hearing things. Welcome to Just Your Opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa. I will say
it's not on.
I knew it.
Okay, we're good.
I've worked in radio too long to pick up weird things in my ears. Boris Johnson. One of my favorite all-time YouTube videos is him. He's seated with a bunch of people, and they don't want to hear him out. And he calls all of them supine, protoplasmic, and vertebrate jellies. That one always makes me laugh, especially in his accent. All of you supine, protoplasmic, and vertebrate jellies.
He's got such a pompous British accent. Like, he sounds exactly what everyone thinks British people sound like. People here in America are way too kind to English people in their accents. They all think they sound fancy. In reality, they don't. A lot of their accents are just like, they don't sound as good as you think. You know what I mean? Like, they aren't all like Boris Johnson, who I think on Letterman, because this was way before when he was like the mayor of London, and he was on Letterman promoting a book that he was writing, and he's been making changes to London and their transportation systems, and they were coming up on the Olympics. So it was back in 2012 or whatever it was. And Boris Johnson said that, or when Letterman asks him, do you think you'll ever become prime minister? And he goes, oh no, I think I have a much better chance of being reincarnated as an olive. And it's like, what? The hell kind of, who says that? But it all turned out to be I do not like olives, but it depends though.
We'll get back to that.
If they're on pizza, they're good. If they're in like a Greek salad, they're good. If they're in just on their own, I can't stand olives on their own.
Okay. Well, I'm talking about like the green, reds, the Spanish olives.
No,
not a fan.
I'm out on that. Although I've had a dirty martini with an olive inside.
There you go.
That's okay.
With gin or vodka?
Vodka with Tito's.
I take it with gin, my man.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, dirty martinis with gin. That's the way to go.
I'm not going to take any of your advice on alcoholic beverages.
Okay, so Steven, what? There's nothing wrong with a good Bloody Mary or Bloody Beers in the morning, and you better get used to that if we're watching football together this fall. Like, that's what I do.
Well, you've seen me. I've had one before, but it's when you chug down like 4 of them in a tall glass. It's like, how can you drink that many micheladas in one sitting?
That's how I roll.
Then you get some buffalo wings. It's like, how do you even make it out of your house on a Monday?
No, see, that's the problem is I'm not the man I used to be. So Monday mornings, I will plan accordingly.
Yeah. You'll work your schedule around having to take a shit.
I can't come. I can't come in right now. What's up? You just have to explain to people. I had like 5 micheladas and buffalo wings, and it's gonna be a spicy morning.
Yeah, they say, okay, you're fine. Totally get it.
It's okay. You come in late.
Yeah.
See, Ernie's on the michelada train.
Yeah, that's fine. Ernie, micheladas are fine, but it's when you have like 3 or 4 of them at the quantity that Derek has them. It's not talking about the quality; it's the quantity. Having that much
It gets me through
michelada
the
in your
day.
system, ugh. I'll have one and then I'll move on. Whenever we used to do our, when we used to have our exploits at Pick 6.
Good times. Good times. Are we ever going back to the new place that your brother supposedly knows?
We should, yeah. I don't know what it's called. I can't remember what it's called again. I think it's like the Draft or something. I don't remember what it's called.
That's a good name.
Yeah, might be. It's sports related. I don't know what it is,
I think I asked you this before. You know how it's spelled?
What?
Is it draft like DRAFT or DRAUGHT?
I don't think that's the name. I just made that up totally.
Okay.
You want to know
Sounds like
something?
our sports bar then.
You want to know something gross?
Yes.
So last week when we did our show on July 4th on the Monday, Jesse and I were drinking a little bit of wine. I think we did our show at 3:00.
We did, yep.
And the glass that I was drinking it out of hasn't moved this exact spot the entire time. Luckily, there's a cover over it, so it didn't like dry up. So it's still liquid wine in there. I don't want to pour it all over, but yeah, it's still here.
That's the luxury of having your own place, man. You can just be as dirty as you want to be.
I just leave it. I didn't even think about it.
Yeah. Hey.
Anyway,
you're your own man. You got your own place.
Did you have a good week? How was your week? Did you have a good week?
Week was good. Nothing really to write home about. It was just doing the job, and yeah. How about yours?
How are things in Oakland?
Oakland's cool, man. Oakland's cool. I love the lake. Love walking around it. I'm gonna do that after we get finished with this, and yeah, have myself a nice lazy Sunday.
Man, you got an exhilarating lifestyle. I'll tell you what.
I know, going walks around lakes. God, I'm just so crazy.
I'm not gonna act like I'm any better. I go walk around a park, and I haven't even done that this week. I worked out for the first time because in a while. Because my brother gave me the Peloton app. Because like you get like 2.
How is that?
You get 60 days for free. I don't have a bike, but you have a bunch of classes and stuff that you can take.
Okay.
And you got like this 20-minute workout with your arms. You could do a full body workout. You do literally anything. They have classes for like yoga, and it's all through video. Just really.
But are you communicating with a live person?
No.
Okay.
It's recorded.
So it's all
recorded video. Yeah, it's all recorded.
So there's no difference between that or like a P90X tape from back in 20 years ago.
Yeah, except the P90X tape was so just tough. The P90X and what was it called? Insanity with Sean T.
Insanity. But do you remember the host of P90X, Tony Horton?
Yeah.
Failed comedian. That guy is annoying as fuck.
Oof, brutal.
Just cracking jokes the whole time. Like, Tony, shut the hell up, man. Let's just get on with the workout.
Yeah, no, I look at the video and I watch these little Peloton videos and I work out along with it, and it's just so infuriating with how positive this person is. It's just like, dude, stop it. You don't care about any of us in here. Happy 1000 and like, you know, happy 1000 sexy _ grandma 69. Way to go, Grams. And it's like, dude, shut up.
So wait a minute. It's not live, but they can see like who's in on the race?
No, it's live at one point. Like it is live when they do it, but then they keep the videos on there. It's kind of like these. You know, you could catch all these live podcasts on YouTube. You know what I mean?
I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know. I did a couple of those this week. Still sore.
So basically, your brother did to you what the woman. Like, remember that commercial a couple years ago, or the boyfriend? It was like a big point of contention. Because it was like a Christmas commercial for the woman that received the Peloton bike, and everybody thought it was like, oh, is the boyfriend trying to tell the girlfriend to lose some weight here?
Right.
But sometimes Pelotons are just nice gifts.
Right. Yeah. No, it's a great gift. I don't know why anyone's making fun of them for it, but there's a lot of stuff going on. They're like, I'm wearing my Peloton shirt. I got my Peloton shorts. I got my Peloton hat. You can go to PelotonShop.com if you want to purchase.
It's a company.
Yeah. After all, but nevertheless, fun times.
Fun times. And Steven, I want to ask you now, next week is going to be the MLB All-Star game.
Yes.
Is this kind of the most least interesting time of year when it comes to sports, in your opinion?
It's kind of the most least interesting time of the year in sports. Which
Is that
one
what I
is
just
it here?
said?
Yes, it is.
Is this time of year actually, that's good. The least interesting time when it comes to sports, because we will just have the MLB All-Star break. That'll be next week, and literally nothing will be going on when we don't have baseball for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Well, if you're
think
just
Thursday.
paying attention to American sports, then yeah. Obviously there's no hockey. You got to wait till football comes along on the 26th. Baseball's in the All-Star break,
Wimbledon?
like you mentioned. I mean, you got Wimbledon, but that's coming up to an end today. I think it already did end, didn't it? I think,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But yeah, you can watch Formula One, which I'm going to watch later today. You got UFC, which happens just about every Saturday, although I got to look at the calendar. I don't know what it's been like. I haven't really paid attention since UFC 276, although there were some fights last night. Rafael Fiziev was in it, so I really want to watch that one. But let me think. I'd say out of the American sports, yeah, it's the least interesting time of the year, but soccer's coming up. The Chelsea just made a big move. They signed the forward Raheem Sterling. I don't know how I feel about it. Raheem Sterling is a guy from Manchester City, a player that I don't really like, but nevertheless, I guess I have to like it. Kind of like Jock Peterson in the All-Star game, and he's the All-Star starter in left field. Never thought he was going to get there, but I guess you could say it's the least interesting time of the year if you want to look at it that way.
It is kind of surprising that Jock Peterson did make the All-Star team. Starting, that is.
Yeah, he is. And it's very frustrating, man. It's like until today, I think he's going to be batting against a lefty today. But prior to that, it's like he hasn't hit against lefties. He's only hitting half the time. Well, not half the time, but whenever lefty's pitching, he's not pitching or he's not batting. I don't get it. I don't know. But he's the All-Star starter, man. That's good.
Hey, good for Jock, man. We'll talk more about the Giants a little bit later, but let's start off with this because while we're kind of in a dead period with sports, there are some stories that are popping up, and we've been waiting for this one for a while, and it finally happened. Baker Mayfield gets traded to the Carolina Panthers. This was a rumor on draft night, never actually happened, and it's been pushed off for a while because they couldn't reach an agreement on compensation, and they finally got around to it, I think, last Wednesday. But yeah, it is the Browns have to take $10.5 million of Baker Mayfield's salary, while the Panthers have to pay $5 million. So basically, the Browns just kind of conceded and have to pay more of the salary than the Panthers do. And now you have a quarterback room of Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, P.J. Walker, and the rookie Matt Corral. And my favorite thing after this move was made was obviously we're in July. And shows like the Pat McAfee show or anything on NFL Network, all are like, well, what does this move do for the Panthers? Does this make them a contender? Fuck no, it does not. Come on. I think they're marginally better, but they're not any better. I think they're one of the worst teams of football right now, to be honest. But Baker Mayfield's on the team, and now you can scratch that team off the list of teams that could trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. So the grand scheme of things, Steven, what do you think about this move, and what does it mean for Jimmy Garoppolo going forward?
Yeah, that's what I was really surprised. I actually thought Baker was going to go to the Seahawks.
That's what I thought too.
I really did, but it turns out the Panthers had the most means to trade for him, and it was the same for Jimmy Garoppolo. But that's what happens when you get shoulder surgery and you don't throw until, well, really now, and then eventually you're not gonna know what Jimmy Garoppolo's arm is like until August. So they had to make some sort of move, and what that says for me with Carolina is that, well, you know what? Let's just bite the bullet now. Let's take him. I don't think they want him, but I think that also just proves that Sam Darnold is kind of fallen out of favor with wherever he's going to go. And I think Baker's going to take that starting job. He's not going to turn them into a playoff team. I mean, look at the Browns. The Browns were a fantastic team as far as I'm concerned. They had everything. They had the offensive line. They had running backs. They had wide receivers. They had every position is covered for something. Like Myles Garrett as an edge rusher. Who do you want better than that? I know they got some good players in the secondary. Like, if he can't take the Browns to the playoffs or at least deep into the playoffs, what's he going to do with this Panthers team? So, I think it's just a kind of not a lateral move for the Panthers, but it's very close to being lateral. It's about as close to lateral as you could possibly get.
Yeah. And I didn't know this, but Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, obviously the top 3 choices in the 2018 NFL draft as far as quarterbacks, the 2 top choices as far as quarterbacks. Saquon Barkley went second.
Right.
There hasn't been a team to have 2 quarterbacks on their roster that was drafted in the top 5 of a draft since the 1980 Oakland Raiders.
Wow.
Jim Plunkett and Dan Pastorini, both on the roster in 1980. Didn't know that, Steven.
Yeah, I mean, you learn something new every day. I didn't know that. Wow. I mean, that just proves how sad it was in the 2018 draft and how crazy we were going, because that 2018
That's a good draft.
We were, well, as far as quarterbacks go, we were going insane over
Josh
those
Rosen in the
quarterbacks.
top 10.
Yeah, and it turns out that the 2 guys that, can thrive the most are Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. That was the Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson draft, right? So
yeah, it was.
we tend to get a lot of things wrong when it comes to that, but I don't know, man. Baker Mayfield is I've always tried to back him up, like I've seen him make some unbelievable plays, like scrambling outside the pocket, throwing on the run with a lot of accuracy. I've seen him throw an insane deep ball. Like I've seen him make some plays. So I've always been a Baker guy, and with how fun he is, and when he was playing well and saying, I'm feeling kind of dangerous today, and then it led to him looking like an out of work writer from New York when he had the mustache and like the pullover coat and the scarf with everything like that. Like he looked like he would belong in a coffee shop, just like writing out, trying to find his next move, trying to figure out his next book after he spent all his money on booze and gambling or something, like that's how he
looked like, sorry to cut you off, but he looked like, who's the guy that eats that he likes a lot of hamburgers in the Popeyes cartoons? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, there was a guy that ate a lot of hamburgers. Not the Hamburglar, but there was a guy that ate a lot of hamburgers with a mustache that reminded me of Baker Mayfield.
But I hope everyone knows what picture I'm talking about. But I don't even know where I was
seen it.
I don't even know where I was going with this point, but nevertheless.
Yeah, I would say that it's an interesting move. I don't know if they needed to get Baker Mayfield. I mean, I don't know what they do with Sam Darnold now, because that's just a weird thing, and I'm sure they're going to have a competition for him, but I know how this Panthers owner, David Temper, rolls, and he wants the more intriguing thing to put the asses in the seats. So when you're going to have a week 1 matchup between the Browns and the Carolina Panthers, Baker Mayfield's probably going to start. So I don't know what that means for Sam Darnold's future. I could see them also just cutting PJ Walker, and they roll with Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, and Matt Corral. I don't think it's that easy just to trade Sam Darnold, because who wants him at this point?
Yeah.
And if you cut him, he's fully guaranteed $18 million, and that's why the Browns didn't want to release Baker Mayfield. So I think he's going to stay on the roster most likely. But as far as Jimmy Garoppolo in the grand scheme of things of now finding another team for him to play with,
yes,
the Browns now are without another quarterback, and they have Deshaun Watson and Jacoby Brissett and the guy from the Steelers, Josh Dobbs, on the team.
Oh, I was going to do the Gruden impression, and when he was on Gruden's Grinders or whatever it was, Gruden's QB camp.
Let's hear it, Steven.
The guy's an aerospace engineer, man. You got to teach me about rocket science before I teach you about football. You didn't have the eyebrows.
Yeah,
Josh Dobbs.
Yeah. No eyebrows. No eyebrows.
Right. Wow.
That's his claim to fame. And he also came in for Ben Roethlisberger in the Raider game a couple years ago.
Ah, I remember that.
Yeah. And then when it was time for the Steelers to win, Ben Roethlisberger went back and said, "All right, Josh Dobbs, sit down."
What a time.
But as far as now that Jimmy Garoppolo is the lone QB still on the roster, kind of making it awkward for his current team, I would say that, and we have Matt Mayoko on every Monday on Tolbert and Copes, and he's basically said that I don't see Jimmy Garoppolo coming back to the 49ers when it comes to training camp or being in the facility ever again. I know this is the time period we were waiting, July 4th, to hear something about the shoulder, and haven't heard anything, haven't seen him throw. I don't think we will see him throw. I think it's just a matter of, if he's cleared to throw and he looks good, a team is just going to sign off and either trade for him, which I don't think is very likely at this point, or the Niners just may cut him, which they keep saying over and over again they're not going to do. But I really don't know what they're going to do at this point. And it's pretty clear that they want Trey Lance to play. Kyle Shanahan pretty much said that. Like, if we can find a trade partner for Jimmy, we'll trade him. But what we're banking on is Deshaun Watson getting suspended a full season or 8 games even. And the more I read into this thing, it sounds like the NFL wants to suspend him a full season because that's what they want to do, kind of with public perception and everything. And it's warranted with the fact that he never was suspended last season. He just was asked to go away from the team and he collected every paycheck. But now when you read up on some stuff, Josina Anderson, I saw earlier this week, tweeted out that a son of one of the masseuses claims that, I mean, this is kind of crazy in its own right. He came out and said that his mother kind of changed her tune when she found out that a lot of women were coming forward about the accusations, that she was nothing more than complimentary of Deshaun Watson, and then changed her tune when she was approached by the lawsuit that was being filed against him. And that's just one case. But I even saw that your buddy Mike Florio said that it's becoming more and more apparent that maybe Deshaun Watson doesn't get this big suspension that we're thinking about, just because sadly there is no evidence. It's more so just hearsay. Even though that's, 22 women, or it's even more than that at this point. But he did file NDAs with most of them. And I don't know where this goes as far as Deshaun Watson's suspension. I'm honestly prepared for anything. It could range from 4 games to 8 games to a full season and then some. But if there is no lengthy suspension from the people in Cleveland, it sounds like they're prepared to play with Jacoby Brissett. And they are not going to beg the 49ers for Jimmy Garoppolo, even if it's like a 5th-round pick. And that's what Baker Mayfield got traded for, was a conditional 5th-round pick. So as far as Jimmy Garoppolo goes, it may just be that the Niners are in a position where they're like, no one wants this guy at all. So we just have to cut him off the roster. And I know that goes against everything they've said in the last few months, but I think we're getting to that point.
Well, I mean, what would they rather do? Would they rather spend the $7 million or whatever it takes to cut him? Because that injury guarantee is still going to be in place, right?
No, not at this point. I don't think so.
Oh, really? So they could just release him and he's not going to make any money?
I think it counts against them for about $1 million, but it won't be that big significantly as far as going against the cap.
Okay.
Now, the thing that, everyone keeps bringing up, and the Niners say they don't think it's a big deal because they've allocated the money to have Jimmy Garoppolo on the roster. Once you cut Jimmy Garoppolo, you have more cap space to give Deebo Samuel a contract, if you want to do that.
Well, I think that'd be the right thing to do. But the question is, like, with the Browns, would they be willing to take on that contract? And that way they don't have to pay a single cent. And they absolutely can. They have the $48 million in cap space, which is
they have the most right now currently in the NFL, because Deshaun Watson is only costing them like $10 million this season.
Right. So would you really want to take on that contract? I don't know. I don't know. Do you see a likely scenario where he just ends up on the Seahawks and they trade within the division?
You know what? That's crossed my mind. And it's happened before with quarterbacks. Drew Bledsoe got traded in division with the New England Patriots and Buffalo Bills. Donovan McNabb got traded to Washington while he was in Philly. I don't see them doing that. But I could see as soon as Jimmy Garoppolo is released that the Seahawks pick him up. But then again, I think the Seahawks are content on just being bad this season. Like, they're pulling a 2018 Raiders and going to roll with Geno Smith and Drew Lock. And they're okay with that, which is surprising to me because I can't imagine Pete Carroll has that many more years left coaching.
Yeah. I was always surprised with the moves that they made after Russell Wilson. I thought they were going to trade up to draft a quarterback. I thought they were going to do something in order to make their team better, but they didn't do anything.
Well, I do believe that they were in Deshaun Watson sweepstakes until Deshaun said, I'm not coming to you.
Oh, boy. Yeah. Like, they if you're going to hold, it's what Ron Swanson said once on an episode of Parks and Recreation.
Great character.
He said, don't half-ass 2 things, just whole-ass 1 thing. And it feels like they're half-assing a rebuild while half-assing at the same time trying to win, while Pete Carroll is still their head coach. Like, it feels like they're half-assing everything in Seattle. So, I don't know. Maybe picking up Jimmy Garoppolo would be the thing for them to do. God, I just think
throwing the DK Metcalf, though?
I know. But
Or
I think
Tyler Lockett, those are speed guys.
Well, yeah, but you could easily just make DK Metcalf into a Debo Samuel type and hope that he just doesn't get tackled, have him run 4-yard slants in between the numbers and just have Jimmy Garoppolo put it in his breadbasket and have him try to go off to the races. Do you think there's any chance so that he does stay with the 49ers, Jimmy Garoppolo, that is? Do you think they really want that?
I mean, that's Greg Papa's dream, but I don't think that's happening this season.
I just think that I understand that Trey Lance is a total pro, and I'm not trying to say he's, mentally fragile, as some people have tried to put it. I mean, he was apparently, like Colin Cowherd said earlier this week, that he suffers from arm fatigue, whatever that means. It's like, what, his arm got tired one time, and you say that he's suffering from arm fatigue? Like, what does that really mean? But
well, not only him, it was the always congested Mike Silver.
Yes, correct. And I think that if you had Jimmy Garoppolo still backing up Trey Lance, I don't care who you are. If you're going to have the guy who was supposed to be their franchise quarterback when they signed him to the extension, and you are thinking in your head, this is the dude who was the starter over me last year, and, the guy who could possibly get this job and take this job if I get hurt. I don't know. If I'm a 49er fan, I would not want Jimmy Garoppolo just sitting back there, backing up this team, just on the off chance that through training camp, you just have another distraction instead of Trey Lance focusing fully on just working with the ones and working all his mental exhaustion that he possibly could and aiming that toward what's going on the field. But if you have Jimmy Garoppolo still in that room, I don't know. I personally just don't think that I just don't think that it'd be beneficial for him as a young quarterback. I think one thing that made Derek Carr not successful, but certainly in the first couple of years, after a couple of seasons, back in 2016 when he was almost an MVP, I'd like to think that not having a backup quarterback who could possibly win the job behind him, I'd like to think that helped because he could focus fully on the team. So I just think that's what you need with Trey Lance.
No, I'm with you, Steven. I think that while Jimmy was a good sport last season, he doesn't want to be there. I think it was pretty clear in his goodbye press conference that it's time to go.
But Jimmy can do no wrong, Derek. Jimmy's Mr. Perfect to 49er fans that love him. He's the ultimate teammate. And then you get Martellus Bennett saying that thing, calling him a bitch.
We never talked about that last week. I thought that timing of that was weird, where Julian even backed up Martellus and saying, I kind of agree with him. The story was that...
What do you mean the timing was weird?
This is getting close to when he's supposed to be healthy, and that we are expecting him to be either traded or released in a couple weeks here. I don't necessarily it was on purpose or anything, but Martellus Bennett came out on the McCourty Twins podcast and said that back in 2016, Jimmy Garoppolo was supposed to play in a game. I think everyone's timeline's off because I don't remember this adding up. But Jimmy Garoppolo was filling in for Tom Brady in that 4-game suspension. He got hurt. He's supposed to come back, but Jacoby Brissett had torn ligaments in his thumb. Same kind of situation that Jimmy Garoppolo faced this past season. And Jimmy practiced all week, and in the end, he didn't play, and then it forced Jacoby to play. And everybody on the Patriots was like, this guy's soft. And to take Martellus Bennett's quote, basically called him a bitch for not playing.
Yes.
So I think that, while that was probably a thing back in 2016, I think Jimmy's proven that he's a tough guy. Obviously, he gets hurt, but he gutted it out this past season to play in the NFC Championship game with no ligaments in his thumb. Obviously, he had a fucked up shoulder. So I don't really like that narrative to say that Jimmy's not a tough guy. I just think that he's tired of the situation. He's always been a good teammate. It's just a matter of the Niners want to improve the position. And you can go back to the Super Bowl with him not, hitting Emmanuel Sanders on that deep post. It was one play, but it's a significant play. And there's a report out there that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are considering Jimmy Garoppolo as their backup to when Tom Brady retires. I don't see that whatsoever. And despite the fact that Bruce Arians is not there anymore and he's a chunk of deep type of guy, Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't want to back up Tom Brady again. I don't think that's happening just because some guy spoke to Don Yee, Tom Brady's agent, and Jimmy Garoppolo's agent. I can't see Jimmy Garoppolo going into Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I like that report earlier. And then what did he say? Like the coach told a scout or something like that. A coach on the Buccaneers said Jimmy would have already had 2 Super Bowls if he would have thrown the deep ball, if he could have thrown the deep ball. I love that I love that quote. But yeah, I think that also going back to his time in New England, like the reason that he probably didn't put in as much of an effort is because he knew that he wasn't going to be the starter. Like he knew this wasn't going to be my job to take. I'm not playing for anything. He's like, I'm still going to be on this team. Maybe they could trade me away because I still got some talent. Like he's one of those backup quarterbacks where you just assume that under the New England Patriots and the fact that he was drafted when he was, yeah, he's going to be a success. So you know what? Trading for him is not going to be too much of a bad move. So I think we can make him the starter and he's got the tools, but you're backing up Tom Brady. So I think he understood like he wasn't going to win the job. So he's not going to put in that effort. And that's what I think can correlate back to the 49ers. If he is behind Trey Lance, backing up Trey Lance, like if Trey Lance gets hurt and you need Jimmy Garoppolo, is he really going to put forth that 100% I'm going to play hurt effort? Maybe just because he could possibly get paid after this season, but I could see it turning into a situation where he's just like, you know what? I'm not feeling that great. Put Nate Sudfeld in. You know what I mean? Like,
but that'd be detrimental to him going forward.
Yeah. Or he could just be done playing football after this because he's already made plenty of money.
Yeah. I think that eventually we'll see something happening here, but I don't think it's just cut and dry that's going to be with the Cleveland Browns. I really don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
All indications are that the 49ers have moved on. And they also operate they operate things differently. And I wouldn't be the least bit surprised either if they just keep Jimmy on the team too. But I don't know. I don't think that's going to be a good thing going forward. So yeah, we'll see where that goes. Jimmy Garoppolo is the last quarterback left in this carousel with still remaining on the 49ers. And I don't know, man. We'll see. I think it's getting to the point now where the Niners may have to consider cutting him, but they've kept saying to the media they're not going to do that, but they could totally lie and do that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the last thing you'd want as a 49er fan is to go into training camp and just have Kyle Shanahan blabbering on about like, you know, whoever's giving us the best chance to win at quarterback. Like that's going to be the guy who's our starter. Like you just don't want that. That's just the last thing you want as a 49er fan, I think.
But I will say this, wouldn't you want a proven backup at this point with Trey Lance? Because right now, if Jimmy Garoppolo is cut off the team, you're left with Nate Sudfeld and Brock Purdy.
Yeah, you would want that, sure. But also, like you mentioned at the beginning, kind of hinders you from paying your other guys, right? This year?
It depends. Well, yes, if Jimmy Garoppolo is still on the roster, 100%. But I don't know if the 49ers, I mean, I've heard in the past that they were willing to give him a contract, but I don't know if they want to pay Debo.
How about this, Derek? Not even a player on the team. How about, I don't know, signing a center?
They seem to be cool with, who's it, Brunskill right now?
Yeah, he's not a center, though. He's a guard.
They're talking about it.
Really?
Maybe I'm wrong. Whoever they have at center right now is their go-to guy for being center. I can't. I gotta be honest. I haven't really studied the offensive line for the 49ers right now.
Yeah, I know that's fair. Nobody really has, but I do know they need to sign somebody on that offensive line to make up for it.
Well, what's his face? J.C. Treader's available.
J.C. Treader is available, and it seems like he'd be the number one option to go with because him and what's his face Stefanski over there in Cleveland ran the same type of offense that Kyle Shanahan runs. I mean, he did that even back in his time with Minnesota. Stefanski, that is, on the offensive side. So like running the outside zone and doing all of that, J.C. Treader would fit in perfectly. So you need to open up some contract money for those guys too. We can't just forget and think that, this team is completely filled out because they still need to add a piece, one more. And I don't know.
Jake Brendel.
I don't know. I just can't think that I just don't think that having these guys and just saying, "Oh yeah, these guys believe him." Yeah, that's gonna work out well. Like, do they really believe him? Who knows? Believe in him?
We'll see. We'll see what happens, man. But yeah, like I said, Jake Brendel's the guy they're looking for at center. So
old Jake Brendel.
Yeah, if they want to, I still think the Niners are the team with the least amount of cap space in football right now, so it will be beneficial to cut some ties there. But I don't know. We'll see in the next couple weeks here. Training camp starts July 27th for the 49ers, and we'll see if Jimmy's on the roster. But my buddy Matt Mayoko thinks that he will not be on the roster by then.
He's your buddy now?
He's always been my buddy. Hot Cocoa.
Oh, what's that?
Come on, dude.
What?
Let's go out to Matt Mayoko.
Is that
likes
the
to
song?
drink hot cocoa?
Is that the song that you? Oh, that's the song that you made. I try to forget about that.
Let's go out to Matt Mayoko. Do 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 do. Let's go out to Matt Mayoko. I always change it up every time.
Yeah,
he hated the song.
Really, you know, there's a common theme among the songs that you make for people within media. None of them like it.
Yeah.
You always manage to make a song for.
Well,
each
that's
of
not
these
true. We
guys.
never knew what Kelechi Osemele thought of the song I made for him.
What was that? How'd that go?
I took a Quiminize, or not Quimini. Quiminize, the name of the Outkast album. Who's the group that sang Virtual Insanity?
Jamiroquai.
Jamiroquai. I did, instead of Virtual Insanity, I did Kelechi Osemele. Kelechi Osemele. Kelechi Osemele. And now that I work at KMBR, I realizing that I've just been ripping off Polymac, changing songs in the morning now.
Oh, that's his thing?
That's his thing. That's his thing.
I was doing it 5 years ago. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, keep going.
You and I were doing it a long time ago.
Yeah, and that time you stole the song.
I didn't steal jack shit.
Did you not?
I just remember you. I remember you sending me that idea, and then the Kevin Durant thing happened, and I just went with it. But
that was when I looked up to you. I was like, you know what? I'm going to send this guy my song. See if this producer, if he thinks it's good, then you know what? It's going to be good. Then 2 weeks later, what do I know? You remix the same song, Derek. That's not very with arms wide open.
How do you patch that up with Kevin Durant signing with the Warriors?
What?
Okay, so if I remember correctly, what was your with arms wide open parody?
I was talking about the Raiders free agency.
And then when Kevin Durant signed with the Warriors, I was like, "This is good. This is actually pretty good."
Yeah.
But so I didn't even put two and two together. Well, okay, you know, just like you stole my impression of Kyle Shanahan, Steven.
Did I steal it?
Yes, you did.
How did I do that? When did you do the Kyle Shanahan impression?
For years, I've always talked about how Kyle Shanahan always likes to speak as much as possible in one breath. And then you were doing the podcast one day and you did it. And I was like, that's my fucking impression.
Yeah. Then I did it on the air. Got a lot of compliments.
God damn you. Good. See?
We're like both like Picasso in this situation, I guess. Good artists create, great artists steal.
I guess that's true. That's true. But back to Matt Mayoko, who likes hot cocoa.
Right.
He said that about Jimmy Garoppolo, and he also caught up with Robert Griffin III in Tahoe.
Corny Robert Griffin.
Not a fan?
He's fine. He's just too corny for me. It's just like wake up with a heart full of gratitude. Get the day started! ! It's like, dude, easy.
Oh, you don't like that Twitter those posts in the morning?
It's too much.
Yeah,
it's too much.
Because these guys rise and grind, Steven, and you do too. But you're not, as you said, you've worked out for the first time in a while.
Yeah, rise and grind. Give me a break. All right, rise and grind.
I've been trying, dude. I don't have to go to work till 11, and every morning I wake up being like, all right, this is the day. I'm going over to the gym. I'm going to work out before work.
Yeah,
and I sleep till 9.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the thing is, it's just putting down people who don't rise and grind. Like if you don't rise and grind,
you're offended by that?
That's fine if you don't rise and grind. It's okay. Live your life. Do whatever you want to do.
That's fine too.
Just shove it in your face. Hey, make sure you rise and grind and live every day with a full heart, clear eyes, can't lose. It's just too much.
You just sound jealous of his perfect life.
He has a perfect life?
I'm not sure it's perfect, but he just strives to be fantastic every day.
I will say that, like, this is more I'm being half serious and half joking. He seems like a good dude, like a good enough guy, and I feel
Robert
bad for
Griffin?
making him. Yeah, he seems fine. Although I'm not gonna lie, there's times when I'm reading some of his tweets when he's live watching UFC or live watching boxing, and it's some of the takes are just eesh. And like some people will always comment saying, RG3, normally I agree with you, but this is just bad. This ain't it.
I will compliment him. He's doing a good job on ESPN. But he was going to write a tell-all book about his time in Washington. And I remember him saying like he was going to detail how he didn't get along with Kyle Shanahan or Mike Shanahan, and how they forced him to play in that playoff game against the Seahawks where he tore his ACL and he never was the same. So that book was going to come out and it was going to be juicy, and it got shelved. It's not coming out now. Probably because it makes him kind of look bad and whiny a little bit.
It got shelved, huh? Nice.
Oh, yeah. But not in a good shelf.
Yeah.
Just shelved away for no one to buy it.
Yeah. The make-believe shelf of just unwritten books. God, there's so many of those.
Yeah, like OJ's If I Did It, This Is How It Happened. Never saw that one. Would have been a bestseller, I'm telling you. And probably RG3's would have been as well. But he caught up with Matt Mayoko at the Tahoe Celebrity Golf Tournament that's happening this weekend, and it was fun to see Steph Curry play golf with Charles Barkley. Aaron Rodgers I saw was out there too. So yeah, looked fun. But Matt Mayoko was there, and he caught up with RG3. And despite the fact of what he said of Kyle Shanahan in the past, RG3 basically said that him and Kyle are good, but that didn't, stop him from criticizing a little bit. He said that in his time in Washington with Kyle, he was kind of a control freak. And he liked quarterbacks a certain way. So that's why he drafted Kirk Cousins. Not necessarily him, but it was his dad, Mike. But they have the same kind of philosophy of having a quarterback who has perfect fundamentals. They like the seven-step drop back, boom, or five, whatever it is, and completing passes to the right spot. They're anal about that stuff, like Bill Walsh was. Like He hated the fact that Steve Young didn't exactly get this receiver on the right spot. It wasn't until later in his career when Mike Holmgren was like, I don't give a fuck about that stuff, just hit him. Kyle Shanahan basically was saying is that he's a control freak, and then he was surprised that he drafted a quarterback like Trey Lance because Trey Lance reminds him a lot of himself, where he's going to give you a little extra. It's not going to be, the quarterback that's a perfect passer. He brings a little extra with his athleticism.
Yep.
And then he went on to go to say that the thing about Kyle Shanahan is that he stays a little complacent when they have a big lead. Case in point, the Super Bowl, when he was the offensive coordinator with the Atlanta Falcons, a 28-3 lead. Have a great quarterback like Matt Ryan, but he doesn't extend plays to keep you in the game. Same thing with the 2019 Super Bowl, where the Niners had a 20-10 lead, and in the end they cough it up. Could say the same thing about last season with the NFC Championship game. So it seemed to me that it was funny that RG3. I don't know where I'm going with this, but my basic point is that RG3.
You're really setting this one up.
I thought it was interesting.
Yeah,
that despite the fact that he wrote a book, that it was going to criticize his dad and I think a little bit of Kyle.
Probably, I think it's going to be mostly his dad.
Probably. But I just thought it was interesting that he said that Kyle is a control freak and that this move shows him that he's growing and that he doesn't have to have the perfect quarterback that he likes, a Matt Ryan, a Kirk Cousins. And he can go with the flow of today's NFL with having a quarterback that's equal parts a good passer and good with his legs. And I would tell RG3 that that's not the case. I think that he's always going to be a control freak. And the reason that while they want to move on and go with Trey Lance, I'm sure there's a little part of Kyle Shanahan that's like, I'm not really on board with the way we're going to play here. They got Anthony Lynn for a reason. They're going to run a certain type of offense that Kyle's never run before hasn't run since the 2012 days with RG3. But I just think that mindset of he's not a control freak anymore, and that Trey Lance is going to have the perfect freedom to do whatever he wants. I would say that's not going to be the case. I think Kyle's going to ride Trey Lance to make sure that he is equal parts a good runner as he is a passer.
I think there's parts that are true to that. I don't think it's going to be as system based in terms of the way that he has Trey Lance playing compared to Jimmy Garoppolo. Like with Garoppolo, it was just, all right, 3-step drop, first read right there. If that read's not there, then go to the second one. Don't even think twice about it. Throw it away if you have to. Like, don't even try to make a play with your legs. I do think he's going to give him a little more freedom there, but as it goes, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, right? So, look, man, if Kyle Shanahan was a control freak back when RG3 was playing, but the whole correlation was, or the contrast that he was bringing out there was he wasn't as much of a control freak when I was playing. Like, that's how RG3 put it, I think, right?
No, I think he's saying that he's always been a control freak. He likes quarterback playing a certain style.
Right.
That's why he's always been comfortable with the Kirk Cousins and the Matt Ryans.
Right. Well, there's going to be two different types of control freaks, though, and I think that's also what Robert Griffin was getting at, is there's a control freak for a Jimmy Garoppolo type, a statue of a quarterback, and there's a control freak for an RG3 type. And I do think that the control freak factor, I love that, actually. Kyle, the control freak Shanahan. That's the new thing going into this season. Control freak. God, that's such a strong term to use. But I think it's going to be I think it's going to be different. Like, the system he's going to run is going to be different and everything. That doesn't mean, and that's not so much a bad thing when your head coach, who's one of the best play callers in the NFL, it's not so much a bad thing when he's the control freak. I mean, if you have a head coach who kind of just lets his team do whatever they want, then you can run amok. Look at what happens with the Browns and Baker Mayfield and, Baker not being controlled. You know what I mean? Like, some of these guys need it. You need coaching. Like, coaching works. So I don't see a bad thing with calling him a control freak. And I don't think RG3 was even meaning anything malicious behind it.
No, he wasn't. I listened to it. It's not malicious. It's just that
it can sound like it, though, if you see if you just see like the quote, you know what I mean, without reading into it. And just
that's a problem with today's society, is that we don't actually listen to things. We just take the headline.
For sure. But you could see like RG3's control freak. Wow. Total diss on Kyle Shanahan.
It's not a diss. I think it's just kind of naive to think that Kyle Shanahan is not still going to be a control freak. Sean McVay's a control freak. Bill Belichick's a control freak. When you are a coach in this league, most likely you're going to be a control freak. You like things a certain way. Not to say that you can't adapt. I think that some of the, a lot of people have said when you draft somebody, you have to make sure that when you have to acclimate your offense to them and the style that they play. Yes and no. Obviously, coaches are going to do things a certain way. And Kyle Shanahan's been running his offense a certain way. Now, you don't draft Trey Lance without thinking about everything that comes with him. It can't just be, I want him to run Jimmy Garoppolo's offense and that's it. No, you got him for a reason. You want him to be dynamic in both ways. But to think that Kyle Shanahan is not going to expect a high level of offense with Trey Lance, not to say that RG3 is not saying that. I just think that the control freak aspect of quarterbacks doing certain things that offense coordinators like, that's always going to be the case. Right. I thought it was interesting that RG3 was like, just because I don't put the ball a certain place and blah, 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 you're going to freak out. Well, yeah, man, like that's good coaching. That's like high level of quarterback play. So I thought that was interesting in the sense that he's kind of just saying like, come on, Kyle, let it happen a little bit. And that's not, I think that there's a reason why they've been so hesitant to go with Trey Lance, just because Kyle is not 100% ready to run this offense. It's going to be very different than anything he's ever done before.
Well, you know what? If he's a control freak and a control freak leads you to passing for 3,200 yards, throwing for 20 touchdowns and 5 interceptions in your first full season that you're playing, then so be it. Because that's what RG3 had in his rookie season when he was the rookie of the year under Kyle Shanahan. So there you go.
Thing he said was when they were playing the Minnesota Vikings. I don't know if you remember this play, but RG3 had a long touchdown run against the Vikings. And the thing that Kyle focused on the next day was you had a guy open in the flat there and you missed him. And RG3 is like, well, man, I made a fantastic play. And it's not to say that Kyle ripped him or yelled at him because of that. There's an old story of Bill Walsh yelling at Steve Young on his touchdown run against the Minnesota Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that Kyle was upset with the play. It's just that he didn't do what he was taught, and that's what kind of upset him. But I get it. There's two schools of thought. There's we scored, and that was the best thing for the team. There's also you're not doing what we taught you. It's not going to benefit you later on when we go to the playoffs because most teams are not going to allow a 56-yard touchdown run by a quarterback.
Wow. They I was just, I was trying to look up the game. They did end up winning that game. So I was gonna say like that would make more sense if they would have lost. You know what I mean? Like if he would have just been finding anything to nitpick. But again, like I like that in a coach though. Like maybe it wasn't the smartest move to throw in the flat and you wouldn't have had that touchdown run. But at the same time, it's just trying to open your eyes to different things because you're not going to like, the thing is, you're not going to get that opportunity again. It's not like, oh yeah, if you find this opening that you're automatically going to score a touchdown again. Like the smarter read would have been going to the flat. I like that in a coach personally, but also I'm not a pro football player and I'm not a quarterback who has the capability of running hundreds of yards at a very elite speed. So I don't know what it's like having that sort of freedom. I was like, you know what, coach, tell me whatever you want me to do and I'll do it because I can't do anything outside of the parameters of what you want me to do. I can't do anything extra special that you don't understand. You know what I mean? I was a very basic athlete, Derek, very basic. So I'm not going to act like I can understand what RG3 is talking about from his standpoint.
No, the only thing I would say is that it's just interesting to me that he says this now,
right?
And I don't know. I thought it was interesting that that RG3 is basically just Kyle's a control freak, and now that he's not going to have a quarterback that just stands in the pocket, he's growing now, and I don't think that's the case. I think he's going to be still a control freak. Like we were talking about coaches that let their players do kind of their style of play. John Harbaugh changed his whole offense to accommodate Lamar Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
And John Harbaugh kind of goes with the flow. We talked about it last year when he went for 3 weeks in a row. He decided to go for 2 to win the game. And it was more so of him being like, all right, guys, what do you want to do? And the players encouraged him to do it. And they lost every time. That's good because the players will like you. At the same time, maybe it's time to become a control freak and be like, okay, this hasn't worked for us. I need to decide because I am the coach, and this is what we're going to do here. And also, I would argue with John Harbaugh that maybe the style that you play with in Lamar Jackson is not working because it hasn't worked. They never gone to an AFC Championship game. I know he's had an MVP season. But also the Ravens, I don't know if you saw yesterday, Lamar Jackson posted on his, I guess, like his profile that a thing saying, I need money. And the Ravens are hesitant to give him money now because they, I'm sure, don't even know if they can win in that style of offense.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to adapt. And that's why I think Kyle Shanahan is willing to adapt, but at the same time is hesitant because he knows that maybe that style of football is not going to win Super Bowls.
I wonder if there was also a case of it being more than just John Harbaugh trying to, gain the favor of his players. I wonder if it was more than that. I wonder if it was, you know what, guys, I'm going to call this play, but the other stuff that I would run in this situation, yeah, you can't execute that. So I don't have faith in you to call that play. So you know what? I'm going to call this one that you maybe can execute, and then we'll see if you could do that to win this game. You know what? Go ahead. Let's do that. Like, I wonder if that was a situation there because 2-point conversions, you have a very set, set schedule of plays that you run in those situations. And maybe they just weren't executing. And that just shows a lack of faith that he had in the team. That could have been another little wrinkle to it.
Possibly. Or, I mean, but what's, you can't just kick an extra point with Justin Tucker.
Or just do that.
Yeah.
Or just do that.
But yeah, that's also, nice story. It's also a July story, just to fill the time, honestly.
Yes, it is.
But a big story that happened, I think, on Thursday or Friday. I forget which day it was exactly. Sandra Douglas was named Raiders president, filling in for Danny Trevelli. And she is the first female Black president of a football team. And that's great. We all know the Raiders' history with being, open-minded and revolutionary and giving opportunities for, minorities. Obviously, Tom Flores being head coach. Art Shell.
Normally the first team to break ground in
Yes.
minority hires.
Exactly. Amy Trask being a team president, and now Sandra Douglas.
Although I hate calling it minority hires now. That just in itself, that just feels odd.
I feel you.
You know what I mean? It feels odd to say, but that's just what they call it.
Yeah. And Sandra Douglas now, I can't think of many teams that have 2 female presidents. So I commend the Raiders for making this hire, and I think that Sandra Douglas will do a fantastic job as Raiders president. I think anything that happens off the field with this team, knock on wood, I hope that nothing happens to the same effect of last season with Henry Ruggs and all that stuff. But as far as the organization and everything, I don't think it's going to do anything for the team itself. I have high expectations for the Raiders this season. And whatever's going on behind closed doors, I would say that it's not going to affect the football team. So I will say this. While I think that the hire for Sandra Douglas was fantastic, it doesn't make me forget also what Danny Trevelli said about Mark Davis. And a lot of these accusations haven't really come up again. That was, I think, a month ago, maybe 2 months ago when that happened. I think in the middle of May. And we haven't heard much since. So who's to say if they're actually true? But just because you do this doesn't mean that I'm going to forget about that as well.
Yeah, he was sitting up there at the press conference, with this smile, just so proud of himself for making this new hire. But you can't forget about anything right there. And I don't think that I don't think many people truly, many sports fans would understand what this means for the team. I don't think we understand. I personally don't understand what a team president does. I didn't even, to be honest with you, full disclosure, I didn't even know who Trevelli was until he was fired. I didn't know he was the new team president. That's how under the radar these people are. I think that
the Raiders go through team presidents quite frequently.
Yes, and her being a Vegas native and working among the gambling world, the business world in Vegas. I think this gives Mark Davis a leg up on, trying to understand how to operate a large entity in Vegas. I don't think he understands how to do that. And you know what? That might have led to some workplace toxicity, whatever. But yeah, I think it's a good hire though. The fact that she has the experience clearly. I just, me personally, I don't know what team presidents do. I don't know what their official job is, but I'm sure there's a I'm not saying they don't have a job. I'm not saying that she's I'm not saying she's up there just because, just to put a face to the team. I'm not saying any of that. I'm sure she's doing a ton of work behind the scenes, and I'm sure there is a ton of work being a team president, but I just don't know what that work is. I just don't know the details.
It's hard to say. It's more so the business side of things.
Yeah.
Basically what Amy Trask, Mark Bedane.
Yes. All these different things that are involving the stadium and how the team operates through on a day-to-day basis outside of what's going on the field. I know she leads all of that, but I just don't know the real ins and outs of it.
The basic line for it is everything non-football related is what Sandra Douglas, Mark Bedane, Amy Trask, Danny Trevelli, all of them kind of operate. Just the stadium stuff, everything you said, Steven, non-football related is what basically they do.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know what? She's just going to tutor Mark Davis. Hey, this is how it works here in Vegas. You know what I mean?
Basically.
I can picture Mark Davis, she's on she's at a chalkboard or something, and she's writing out all these little business classes, and Mark Davis is sitting there at his desk just with his arms folded.
You see this section from a year ago, this photo from last season? These are a lot of the opposing team fans. We need to get more of the, our team fans here.
Yeah. Yeah. We need to turn this a little more silver and black as opposed to it being, orange and black when Cincinnati came to town. You know what I mean? Was Cincinnati in Vegas this year? I think they were.
They were a year ago. Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. Good hire for them though. Just Godspeed for her, man. It's been a tough organization to work as a team president for. So hopefully everything works out for her.
Yeah. I'll be the first to say, I was defending of the Raiders back in the day, but that organization is crazy, and I hope everything goes smoothly. And we'll see what happens with these accusations. Nothing's happened. since Danny Trevelli released that, and who's to say, it's just hearsay from him. But I'm still going to be looking out for it, and if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But I'm not going to forget about it.
Was there ever like a vote with the league owners to possibly get Mark Davis kicked out?
No, there hasn't even been a vote to kick Dan Snyder out.
Yeah,
because at the end of the day, and I mean, what I say that with Mark Davis, but at the same time, look at all these other accusations going on with team owners right now. The only one that ever got kicked out was Jerry Richardson when it was clear that he was racist and sexist, and he gave over the team to David Tepper for the Carolina Panthers. Besides that, what's going on with Stephen Ross?
Yep.
That thing has never got up again. You know what the truth is? The owners like the other owners, and unless they do something egregious, then they're going to keep them around.
Right.
Unless they screw the other owners, which I thought that's what happened with Daniel Snyder, they're not going to be kicked out.
Speaking of other owners, did you see what Jerry Jones did with Dallas? Didn't they? Oh, hang on. They got in. They are.
Are you pulling something up?
I am actually. I'm sorry. I gotta pull this up.
No.
This up. They're in. Let me think. Oh yes. They are in partnership with Black Rifle Coffee. A day after the shooting on July 4th in Illinois. So Black Rifle Coffee, and they're going to be selling certain coffees called AK Espresso, Murdered Out, and Silencer Smooth. So they're in partnership there. Just to name other things slimy things that owners have done this past week. And then
I can't imagine the commercials for that. Black Rifle Coffee.
Terrible.
When you need a big old black coffee in the morning.
They're trying to get rid of those names, by the way. They are. But you have that. Then you have you see the thing that happened with Jody Hill, who owns the Blazers and the Seahawks? Or excuse me, Jody Allen, excuse me.
Jody Hill, Jonah Hill's sister?
Who the hell's Jody Hill?
Oh no, Jody Hill is Danny McBride's guy that created
Eastbound and Down.
Yep.
Yeah. No, Jody Allen though.
Black Rifle Coffee. Good Lord.
You see what happened
when you
Jody
need a
Allen?
Shot in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. Like, come on, dude. Like,
I just think of who's the guy who plays God in The Big Lebowski? The guy with the voice.
I don't know who.
Sarsaparilla.
Oh, Sam. Oh God. So I know Ernie and Ram are gonna pull it up at some point.
He plays Bradley Cooper's very, 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 very older brother in Star is Born.
Oh, I haven't seen
I always thought that was ridiculous. Guy's like 40 years older than him.
I haven't seen it. Sam
Elliott. Thank you, Ernie. Thank you, Ernie.
I haven't seen it. And if Jesse's watching right now, yep, that was a lie. Haven't seen it. That's a lie that I've been keeping up for the last year. I'm gonna get in trouble for that, but you know what? Whatever. The truth always has to come out.
Why would you lie that you've seen A Star is Born?
Because I try to sound cool.
You lie about making chicken. You lie about seeing Star is Born. Good God, man.
Yeah, not good. Not good. I am a habitual liar.
Well, I'll save you. Extremely overrated movie.
We'll see. I don't know. I can't take your word for movies. Like, I just can't.
Okay, shouldn't my word be good if I'm so like judgy when it comes to movies?
Hi. There's a there.
Let's hear Jesse. Let's hear your reaction to this news. Your boyfriend's been lying to you about Star is Born.
You want to react?
I know you haven't fucking seen it. I know when you lie.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess you already knew.
Yeah. Might be in trouble for that one. That's fine though. Yes, but you being overly critical, like, it gets to a point where it's just like, okay, you're being critical of that. You know what I mean? Like, you'd probably have some sort of issue where it's like, Bradley Cooper drank coffee out of a wooden mug when clearly, they wouldn't have had wooden mugs back in whatever that time. I don't know. Something stupid like that.
You think that would be a bugaboo with me?
I don't know. I just made that up.
Dude, with living in LA, I am, compared to like people I know, I am the least judgmental when it comes to movies. I will say though, there's just some things that are just like, over the top and cheesy, especially in that movie.
Yeah.
But we'll get to pop culture wrap up a little later, and I'll tell you why I was extremely wrong for Stranger Things.
Oh, good.
Draymond Green. I feel like we do this every goddamn week though. This guy's podcast is giving us material in July though. He gave his insight into Kevin Durant.
What did he say?
So basically, he said that he understands Kevin Durant, why he wants to do this, and the basic quote that he came out with was that fans have a problem with NBA players or athletes in general being businessmen. And this is a business move. To decide wherever you want to go, whatever situation you want to be in, is the American dream, as he put it. And I agree with that to an extent. But I also understand the annoyance from fans when you have expectations of a player being on your team and then he doesn't want to be a part of that anymore. I understand comparing things to the real world in the sense that you don't want to be in a situation anymore. Like, I'll speak frankly. I'll be honest about myself. I understand about Kevin Durant wanting to change his life up. I want to change my life up. LA sucked, and I wanted to change it, and that's why I came back home. But you also make business decisions, and you have to live up to them.
Yeah.
So when you sign a 4-year contract with the Brooklyn Nets, you got to live up to that a little bit. At the same time, if you're unhappy, you're unhappy, and you want to change this, you want to go do something else. But
I'm not going to lie. I turned off the Draymond podcast. I started listening to it at the beginning, and then I heard him saying, the reason free agency is the way that it is today is because of LeBron. And then he starts going on about LeBron and the decision. Then I said, you know what? I need better things to listen to in my morning, so I'm just going to turn this off. And
he loves himself LeBron now. Good Lord. He can't go without maybe 30 minutes on that podcast without referencing him.
It's every single time. So I was just like, you know what? I don't know what he's going to even say here. And then, I did see a headline that he backs up Kevin Durant in free agency. But I don't know how many other companies in the real world have a contract that's worth between $40 and $50 million over the next 4 years. And they just decide, you know what? I'm not going to honor that contract. Get me out of here, because they are that good. I go back to, this is 2 weeks ago, but there's an album that Logic came out with called Vinyl Days, which, people have really gone off Logic after the past couple of albums, the previous 2 or 3, because they weren't, I don't know, they just weren't hip hop. It was just too much. You know what I mean? These albums that he was making, it was just too much. It was just trying to do a whole bunch of different things, and people didn't like it. But this one was purely back to where he was, which is just, pure hip hop. Just get right into it. There's no skits. There's no, 2-minute intros into a song where you're holding a phone call with whoever, a friend, and you're talking about, your mental and all this sort of stuff. There's none of that. It's just straight boom, get into the music. But a lot of it was due to his label, and he wasn't a fan of a lot of people at Def Jam. Well, this last album that he came out with was the last album of his contract, because he signed a contract. And you know what he did? Even though he didn't like his label, and his label was forcing him to do things that he didn't want to do, but he was still making that money. And it happens in music all the time. We've seen it throughout. I'm just using Logic as one example, but he honored that contract. And it's I don't get what makes it different for NBA players. As far as I know, you can't just get up out of a contract like that just because you go straight to the team owner, and that team owner can go to, I don't know, your agent or whatever can go to Adrian Wojnarowski and say hey, my client's requesting a trade. Just let you know, put it out on Twitter, and then get everybody talking about it, so everyone thinks that he's not going to be on the Nets anymore. And then you stir up all this commotion about it. Please do that for me. You don't see that in real life. This is it. The NBA is totally, I don't understand where Draymond's coming from there, trying to compare it to what goes on in the business world. Businesses, they honor whatever contracts they get into. You sign that contract,
they'll sue you.
You honor it. That's what happens. So no, I'm not going to lie, dude. I'm with Draymond and the way that he talks on the podcast, it's he's trying to force us to have this empathy for these NBA players and what they go through. It's oh my God, Russell Westbrook called on TV, called Russell Westbrook. Well, you know what? Russell Westbrook ends up picking up a $47 million option. And that's money that nobody's going to see in their lifetime. Come on, dude, stop It's just very frustrating here. Like, Kevin Durant's not honoring his contract, and so we are going to look at him differently. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I get it. I also get the other side of things where you're just not happy and you want to change the situation. But that's in perfect society. And that's kind of what athletes live in now, for the most part. But I'm with you, Steven. And I also love Draymond when he does the podcast. He'll do things like, so I saw the news about Kevin Durant, and I sat there and asked myself. No one ever sits down and asks themselves a question. They just think. Like
Right.
the way he phrases things sometimes just makes me laugh. Like, I sat down and asked myself, hey, Draymond, what are you doing?
Yeah.
By the
Yeah.
way, back to your Logic example. My dream has always been just to make a rap album, but just sketches, just skits. Like you think a song's going to start, and you're like, and then it goes to do a skit. Skits used to be like a big deal in rap albums back in the day.
No,
They
for sure.
Actually, were clever and funny. The funniest one I ever heard was on Common's album. Forget the name of the album, but he has a fantastic skit on there, and that just always makes me laugh.
Yeah, no, and don't get me wrong. Like, skits can be important to an album, but sometimes the
I
skits
don't know about
just don't-
important.
Well, they can be. They can, keep the flow of the concept, whatever concept you have for the album going. But
Okay, I guess that's true.
in this latest one, Logic is he's kind of, it's like an appreciation album for the people who he grew up listening to. A lot of samples in it, like a lot of samples, pretty much on every single song.
Okay.
There's one with I believe there's one with RZA, and I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically a straight Wu-Tang beat. And like, it's sick. And he has one that straight sounds like a Beastie Boys song. It's called Bleed It. And he literally takes like the Beastie Boys style, but
This is a brand new album?
yeah, but at the same
Check it
time,
out.
when you listen to Bleed It, you're just like, well, you know what? I'm going to go listen to Beastie Boys now. Like, I don't want to listen.
Exactly.
You know
Exactly.
what I mean? But he also had a bunch of voicemails left. He had one with like Michael Rappaport leaving a voicemail. Who was it?
Loves himself some Kevin Durant.
Aaron Judge left a voicemail in his monotone ass voice. Hey, yo, it's Aaron Judge. Let's make some beats sometime. Come out to Brooklyn. All right, see ya. Like, cool. Sweet.
All rise for the judge.
Yeah. And then
That'd be sick if you had like a John Sterling sample. All rise for the judge. All rise for the
yeah, like what if you had the like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a really good idea. I might try that at work. And then what was
Better
it?
than your David Fizdale rap song you made?
I made a David Fizdale one.
Yeah, you took a beat. It was just him going, take that for data just over and over again. Like, take that for data. Take that for data.
Yeah. I was in a real time where I was just like putting. I think I made one with your dad.
Yeah, you did.
The Wow by Post Malone.
Yeah.
Big butt, big legs. He's thick, and he's got me saying wow.
Forgot about that. That was fantastic.
What I was getting to is Logic clearly did not want to be with his label. Like, he just didn't want to be with Def Jam anymore, and he wanted to go independent, do his own thing, not have anybody control him. And I'm sure that's the same way that Kevin Durant's feeling, but you got to honor the contract, dude. Like, that's how it works.
Yeah. Doesn't Jay-Z run Def Jam now?
Does he?
I think so. I think he's the CEO.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
By the way, on Draymond's next podcast, he'll say, why is everyone giving LeBron James shit for bringing his own snacks to a summer league game? Let the man live.
Oh, yeah, the Ziploc. What do you think the snacks were?
Trail mix. It looked like trail mix. Also, I don't hate anyone for bringing their own snacks. That's just being prepared.
Yeah, how can you hate on anybody for bringing their own?
That's a point of contention. People are just like, oh, LeBron James is a billionaire. He can't get snacks at the concessions there. No, sometimes you want to save money.
They also don't have like real snacks there. They got like
Costs also like $50. Probably get a bag of chips.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's LeBron. He should be able to get stuff for free. That's number one. But number two, like in the end, man, you just want to have some trail mix. It's totally fine. Or like Chex Mix or something.
Nothing wrong with that. Or bring yourself some Junior Mints. Refreshing.
Love that.
Back to the Draymond Green comment. I hear you, Steven, and I don't want this podcast to be every week where we talk about someone else's podcast. And that's what I feel like Draymond has just cornered the media of Bay Area media right now, which is I'll put out a podcast and every single other media entity will talk about my podcast. But he brings up a good point with the fact that NBA players want to be businessmen, and they're going to do the best for their situation to have generational wealth. He brought that up over and over again when speaking to Kevin Durant. And then at the very end, I thought it was interesting. Draymond Green says, I myself have a contract extension date coming up on August 3rd. Hope it's a good day. We'll see. Then I saw Tim Kawakami's podcast come out with Joe Lacob, where Joe Lacob said, next summer is going to be difficult. We're going to have to make some big decisions. I'm going to be just honest to the fan base. It's going to be hard to make some new moves. Listen, this may be the last summer where we have everybody. That's what I surmised. And with the fact that they got to sign Andrew Wiggins and they got to sign Jordan Poole, and I think even Steph's up for extension. Is that correct?
No, Steph already got paid his extension.
Never mind. Okay, he got his.
Yeah, it's just Poole, it's just Wiggins, Draymond, and Clay.
And we saw a lot of guys leave this offseason. This is coming back a little bit where everyone thinks that Joe Lacob is just going to spend. And he doesn't just put that out there and not think about the future. I'm not saying specifically Draymond, but it's just interesting that Draymond would say that on his podcast and say, he has the mindset of it's going to be, I have to do what's best for me and all the NBA players in business. We have to do what's best for us. So with that in the back of my head, we'll see what happens August 3rd. And if Draymond doesn't get a contract extension, you kind of see where things are going.
Let's see. What's Draymond's contract looking like right now? Let's pull this thing up just so we can give a little context here. So he has a 4-year, $100 million contract, and he signed that back in 2020. So that was the first year that it kicked in. Then last season was the second year of his contract. He's heading into the third right now, and he also has a player option for after this season. So I'm assuming that August date that you're talking about is whether you can pick up that option or not.
Yes.
Man.
Stay tuned.
Oh boy, that's going to create some. You know what? That's going to be a good time too, because training camp is going to be a week underway, and then we're going to be in that stage in football where we're just okay. The excitement of training camp is there. In the end, this is actually kind of boring to talk about. So thankfully, we are going to get to that point in August, because that's like, it's like a week after training camp, maybe a week and a half, where it's like, all right, this is boring. There's nothing happening right now.
You're not going to like everybody tweeting out videos of Trey Lance at training camp and thinking that's going to be the end-all be-all for him going forward?
Can't wait for that.
I know. Javier Vega every day.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, I'm good for those guys for getting their job.
No, I'm not calling anybody out. I'm just saying, like, that's like, the go-to time for everyone. Just like, I remember last year we saw videos of Trey Lance at training camp, and I was like, oh my God, this guy's going to start. No, he's not.
Yeah. And you already said we don't want to talk about other people's podcasts, but I'm going to be looking out for that Javon Kinlaw versus Grant Cohn undercard on the Jake Paul fight that's coming up next.
Can't wait for that.
Oh man. Well, no, it's
your ball shriveled up with fear.
It's going to be an exciting time. It is. And shout out to Grant, but it's going to be an exciting time, but a week once training camp's into it, we're like, all right, let's get us to the preseason. Then once week 1 of the preseason's done, it's okay. Let's get us to the regular season. It's a vicious cycle within football. Can't wait for it though. And then in the middle of that, Draymond Green. Wow.
We'll see about that.
That's a hell of a correlation you made, Derek. Well done, my friend.
I saw that, and I saw the other one. I was like, that's interesting. That's interesting, the timing of both those things on podcasts.
Did you sit down and think to yourself, oh, this is
I sat down and asked myself, Derek, why would Draymond Green say this? Huh, interesting. Very peculiar. Very peculiar. Oh, Windhorse. The Giants, Steven, they're at the midway point, basically. They are 42-41, I want to say. They won yesterday. Carlos Rodon had a great performance with 12 Ks.
Yes.
Pitched the whole game.
Yeah.
Look at you, Gabe Kapler.
Yeah. No, exciting, man. It was good during the week to get that win against the Diamondbacks, which they sorely needed, with the comeback win and them being down 4-0. Didn't think they would come back, and they did. finally they won a game kind of like they actually won them last season, which was you'll win with pinch hitting and your pitching holds up after giving up an early lead. Like that, we've seen plenty of those types of wins last year, but then you follow it up, kind of spoiling a great performance by Logan Webb on the first game of that Padres series. And, that was one where if they would have won that first game of that series against the Padres, I would have thought, oh man, they really got something cooking here, but they ended up losing. And, it's kind of just a season where like you're at a loss for what to expect. Cause it's just, you kind of feel as a Giants fan, all right, you get the 6th spot of the wild card, 5th at best. Like that might not happen, but like if you do, how far are you really going to go in the playoffs? You don't really have the talent right now. The trade deadline. What do you want to do? What they did last year and trade a couple of your minor leaguers for a rental? Like I don't think so. The thing I will say about this, Derek, though, is not so much what's happening with this team, but I had a source put me on to this guy, and he tells me this is my favorite Giants player, and I don't know it yet. And I said, okay, who's this guy? And he says his name's Vaughn Brown. And I don't know if you've seen Vaughn Brown, but right now he plays for I want to say he plays for the AA team or the high A team. I think he plays for Eugene Emeralds. He was playing in San Jose. He had a mean stretch of games, crazy stretch of games. He's an outfielder, but he plays like Burns. He has stirrups. He has a mustache. He's got a wild personality, and he hits dingers. So, like, that's my excitement from this week was Vaughn Brown, Derek. Remember the name.
I'll look out for that. You saying he plays like Eric Burns?
Yes, he plays the outfield like Eric Burns is what he said. So as soon as I heard that, reckless somersaults after trying to throw a guy out at home, I'm all for it.
Yeah, bro, let's go.
Just don't go to the Savannah Bananas, please, Vaughn. But no, it makes you. But going back to the regular season, though, it makes you question, like, what do they do? And 2 games over 500, great. I think they just should stand pat at the deadline. We should enjoy the All-Star game. I really don't know, man. Like, you're just kind of watching baseball for the love of baseball at this point. You're not watching it because their team's competitive.
Yeah, but I mean, they're still in the mix. I would say it's hard to expect them to compete with the Padres and Braves at this point for those wild card spots. Their best bet may be the 6th spot as far as that extra wild card spot now.
Yeah. No, you're right.
There's still time to make it up. The baseball, we're only at the midway point, but
did they only announce the starters for the All-Star game, by the way?
Yes, I believe we should get the full rosters today.
Okay. Well, I think Logan Webb and Carlos Rodon have pitched themselves into a spot there.
They'll probably be in it.
Webb has been just fantastic. That's one of the things that got me during the week was in these high leverage kind of situations, and it's not necessarily high leverage, but that first game against San Diego, after coming off that win, like if Logan Webb is going to have to pitch a gem if the Giants want any chance to compete against San Diego, who were struggling going into that series, and he did, and he lived up to it, and he's had like a sub-2 ERA in his last 7 starts ever since that game against Miami where he was taken out too early, and the following game where they had 4 errors in total in that one, and they had to take Logan Webb out early then. And even though they still counted an earned run for him, even though there was one off an error, didn't make sense there. But anyway, the way that Webb's been pitching, Rodon with that complete game yesterday, I think they've solidified some spots on the All-Star team. So that's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And I apologize to all the A's fans. It's just nothing worth talking about with the A's right now.
Christian Bethancourt traded.
Yeah. And we'll see where Frankie Montas goes in a couple weeks here.
Yeah, Frankie Montas is going to be worth something, but it's I don't know. Hey, didn't they approve something with the Howard Turnbull?
Yeah, 17th time? Yeah, we talked about it last week. It doesn't mean anything.
Oh, I thought it did.
It means that it got passed. But the fact, what's a bigger deal is Rob Manfred's going to waive the moving tax, to go to Vegas. So I'm going to go.
Nothing changes when it comes to Rob Manfred and the way that he feels about Oakland and its impact on Major League Baseball in general.
Also, Ernie brings it up. Shout out to Ernie. Shout out to our guy Aram, also in the chat today. But also, Joe Lakeup, he's been open and honest about this. He talked about with Tim Kawakami that he has always been interested in buying the A's, and the A's just don't want to sell it to him. And I can't imagine what the A's would have been with Joe Lakeup.
That would have been
Interesting.
I mean, yeah, that would
I
have
don't know
been.
if it would have been better. It just would have been interesting.
I mean, Lacob's a businessman, and I don't know if he would have been seeing that team, performing the way that they were. Let's just say he was owning the team, and they had the exact same roster and did the exact same things, 2 straight 97 win seasons, all that sort of stuff. Probably would have moved the team too. Like Joe Lacob would have found that.
It's hard to say he wouldn't. I've heard him in closed doors, or not closed doors, just in between. I mean, he used to come in.
You've heard him, like he came over to your apartment at Lake Merritt, just chilling.
Oh yeah, hey Derek, love your apartment, very nice. Should move it to San Francisco though. No, he used to come by when he used to do sit downs with Bonte and my pops, and he always said off the mic like he would have bought the A's if they would have allowed it. Now, a guy that moves, I mean, Warriors moved to San Francisco. It's not as big as the A's moving to Vegas as far as the location and everything. You would have had to think he's a businessman, and yes, he probably would have, he says all this stuff, but what would he have done? Would he have built a stadium himself? Like I don't know if anything else could have been done, but it would have been interesting. I wouldn't say it would have been better if Joe Lacob was the owner of the A's. It just would have been interesting. Yeah, maybe they would have signed guys back at least.
For sure.
You want to do a little pop culture catch up?
A little pop culture catch up?
All right, sir. You start off, man, because I actually haven't watched a lot this week.
I haven't either.
No, all right then.
No, what have I watched? Dude, I've watched like Reno 911. I saw that on. I've not seen every episode. I've watched a few here and there on Comedy Central when it would be on, but I've never watched it like season to season.
Yeah.
Is every cold open as good as in the first season? Because my God, the cold opens of every one are just hilarious. My favorite one was when Jones and Garcia are riding in the car together, and they're in like a high speed chase. So it's like clear they're faking the way that they're shooting or whatever.
Yeah.
And so Jones is shooting. He's like, damn, I almost had him. This is crazy. And then he starts like smiling, and then Garcia's out like shooting. Ah! And then Jones starts laughing, and he's like, oh my God, you got him. And then and the tires screech, and they go, whoa. And then the airbag pops in the camera. It gets me, man.
I actually have not seen a whole lot of Reno 911, but when I have watched it, it's fantastic. I remember the movie, the one where they're in Miami, not being fantastic. But
I feel like you have to be like a big fan of the show in order to enjoy the movie, though.
Most likely, yeah. You're probably right. But I have Paramount Plus, so I should actually catch up on some Reno 911.
Oh, there you go. Well, is it on? It's on HBO too.
Oh, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. All right then. I'm debating whether or not I want to keep Paramount Plus because I don't know what I need it before besides like watching the South Park movies they put up on there.
Right.
But another story actually, it may be good to keep Paramount Plus because they are in the mix. Roger Goodell came out this week and basically said that DirecTV will no longer be a thing with the NFL, and by next week we will, or not next week, but in the fall, next season, it's official. This is something that's always been discussed. Sunday Ticket will be on a streaming platform. So I ask you, Steven, I know how much Sunday Ticket's been costly in the past, especially when you got to get a dish put up on your roof. And I remember being in college and having that, and it just being a pain in the ass. My roommates hated me because I had a long cord go from the outside of our balcony to where the dish was to have it go all the way across our living room. People would trip on it all the time to where my bedroom was. But if you don't have to worry about that shit anymore, are you more willing to pay for NFL Sunday Ticket if it costs maybe like $30-$40 extra onto a Apple Plus or a what else are they in the mix for? Amazon Prime subscription?
If I had the money, yeah. Yeah, of course. But I don't know.
I'm just saying, like, compared.
I think everybody would. It's just a question of whether they have the money or not.
Well, yeah, but compared to getting DirecTV, which costs $200 a month, plus Sunday Ticket, that's ridiculous. Where you already have something. Most people already have Amazon Prime or Apple Plus, and they just tack on $30 to it with Sunday Ticket.
Right. I'm gonna just Yeah, I'm gonna like
Wait for
hold
that
like
time.
I'm just gonna like hold a piece of cardboard out like in the middle of the street saying, "Does anybody have Sunday ticket account that I could log into?" Like on standing on the corner. You know how like fantasy football guys who like, they lose their fantasy football matchups and they got to stand on the street holding up a sign that says like, "I'm a fantasy football loser." Yeah, I'm gonna hold one saying like, "Does anybody have an NFL Sunday ticket login?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, we got
Stranger
a lot
Things.
coming. The thing is, we got a lot coming up. You know what I mean? We got 3 weddings in October, so we're focused on like saving money for that. I don't know if I have enough time, but I would if I could.
Well, it won't be till next season. You don't have to worry about that. But
Would it be per month? Because if it's
uh,
just an extra $30 to $40 for an entire season, then yeah, I'm just gonna sacrifice a fantasy football league.
I think you can't do that, man. Come on, take on my butthole league.
Oh, forgot about that.
I think it's just a straight rate. I think it's just a straight thing. You pay $40, $30, and you'll get Sunday ticket for the season.
Yeah, I might do that then. Yeah.
But then again, that's next season we're talking about. I'm debating whether or not I want to get, I have YouTube TV. I'm debating whether or not I want to get Red Zone with Scott Hansen, who is not as good as Andrew Siciliano. Or I just want to go to the bars and watch the games there, and I can watch every game as opposed to just watching Red Zone and it bounces back, around the league, and I can't control which teams I'm watching.
Well, you also got to take into account though that if you go to the bars to watch every game, you got to spend money on their food. And you
that is true. That is true. I mean, micheladas aren't cheap, so
yeah,
it's $60 a month, Ernie, on DirecTV. Good lord, just for Sunday ticket alone.
It's crazy.
All right, maybe it won't be cheap then. We'll see what happens here. Stranger Things.
Yes.
I finally watched the ending. Very marvelly, like very cinematic. I thought it was great. So I take everything back I said 2 weeks ago about it not being entertaining. It's a slow build, and for the whole season itself, there are some peaks and valleys. But I thought the ending was very good for Stranger Things. I look forward to the conclusion when it comes out.
Yeah. God, man, it's too long of a wait. Do you see it's coming out in July 2024, I think?
That makes sense.
They're just going to be so old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
and they have to like a time, like way in the future too. Like it can't just be like, well, we're all older now. We look, a lot older, but it was a couple of months after what happened with all that shit.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure they've started filming already. It's just like our boy Charlie Heaton, I think that's his name, the guy who plays the brother, Jonathan or whatever his name is.
Oh, the stoner dude?
Byers. Yeah, Jonathan Byers. I think his name's Charlie Heaton. Yeah, Charlie Heaton. He got popped for cocaine after like the first 2 seasons of Stranger Things. It's like, what can happen with these guys within the next couple of years by 2024? You know
Child actors, man.
I liked the, I gotta say though, like of the stoner guys, I did like his friend. I thought he was funny. The guy kind of had like a Chicago accent. The
biggest problem I have with Stranger Things is they introduce these new characters that I think, excuse me, that no one cares about.
You didn't care about Eddie?
Yeah.
Really?
I thought it was okay.
I loved Eddie.
Yeah, but you only got to know him for one season, and then, who cares?
Spoiler.
Yeah. It's basically spoilers if you're listening to this.
Eddie was great.
But
I get what you mean. I get what you're saying. Like the stoner friend guy, he's not like you don't really care about him too much.
Yeah.
He was just gone and he like moves away.
Nice comic relief.
Yeah.
Nice comic relief.
I thought he was funny.
Yeah. By the way, I wanted to bring this up. Speaking of podcasts, we're promoting other people's podcasts on our own podcast. Obviously, our name of our podcast is Just Your Opinion, Man. It's based off of The Big Lebowski and Jeff Bridges, who I love, and I listen to. You ever listen to the podcast Smartless?
No.
But do you know about it?
Is that the one with Bateman and Will Arnett?
It's Jason Bateman, Will Arnett, and Sean Hayes. And it's very good. I always enjoy it. It comes across a little pompous at times when they have celebrities come on and talk about like, oh, I'm in this movie or oh, I'm in that movie. But for the most part, it's fun. And they had Jeff Bridges on. And God, I would love to be just like that later on in my life, where he's just like the way he talks is just like so like Bill Walton-y meets John Miller. Just kind of like a cool, like laid back type of thing of just being like, yeah, man, I remember being on the set, man. And those guys were just cool cats. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you mean.
But he was talking about how when they made The Big Lebowski, he wasn't really known for roles like that at the time. He was kind of always the straight edge, uptight businessman in most of his movies. And then The Big Lebowski, when the Coen brothers made that movie, he read the script and he was like, "Hey, man, this is like actually me. I'm actually playing myself for the first time." And ever since then, ever since he's done the Big Lebowski, I feel like he's shown more of that persona now. When he's in interviews, he's always kind of just like kind of laid back and kind of trippy dippy and groovy. Where before, I didn't really actually see a lot of his movies before The Big Lebowski. So this week, I checked out 2 of them I'd never seen before. He talked about it on the podcast, Smartless, about 2 of his like better known movies before The Big Lebowski. I watched The Fisher King. Never seen that before. You know that movie?
It's the one with Robert Williams or
Robin Williams about homeless people. Very interesting and very sad, but also very funny at the same time. And then there's a movie that I never heard of before that he's in called Fearless, which is about a guy who survives an airplane crash and how he lives his life after that. Very emotional, actually very profound, both extremely good. So those are my recommendations of 90s movies that I watched this week.
No, yeah, I mean, The Fisher King I've never seen, but that's supposed to be good. I really need to watch that one. I need to watch more Robin Williams movies. I keep on falling short of watching those ones, but Jeff Bridges obviously is in there. Let me think. What's the other? What's the one that I've seen with Jeff Bridges that really stinks? But it's King Kong.
Oh, in the 70s?
Yeah, he was in the 70s King Kong. He played like a
never saw that one.
He played a zookeeper. It's terrible.
I've only seen the Jack Black one where he's at the end going, "'Twas beauty that killed the beast."
Yeah. Oh, and The Boys, catching up on The Boys.
Oh, is that good?
Yeah.
I heard like was it Herogasm? That's like the big thing.
Herogasm?
What season are you in?
The one that the new one.
You caught up all the way?
Not all the way yet.
Okay,
so I don't
never
know.
mind then.
Herogasm hasn't been. I've seen like the words of that
Yeah.
before, but I don't know what that means. It's just, it's like an anti-superhero show.
Yeah.
Where the superheroes are, it's like all a corporation and they basically run the world, but they also are like superheroes and they're just not that good at people. So at least one of them isn't. Homelander is his name. He's like one of the best evil characters that's ever been made. But although this season's good and it's genius, but it feels like this season more than the others, like each episode is going for like the shock factor because it's just so gory and gross and like you can't have a weak stomach if you're watching it. You gotta like, don't watch it when you're eating. Like, make sure you're done with dinner, all your food's digested and everything, because it could get pretty nasty. Like Jesse and I came home last night, went to a little barbecue in the park, and we came home last night to watch some of it. And we had In-N-Out on the way home. And we were like, you know what? Let's just eat the In-N-Out first. We'll watch like a little sitcom episode real quick just to get the food down, and then we'll turn on The Boys. So that's what we did last night. So I'm on like the 5th episode, I think.
I watched the first season and I didn't finish it. I couldn't get into it.
Yeah, that's a shame.
There's just some shows I like that. Like, I'll never bag on a show that I've never seen before. Well, actually, that's a lie.
Yeah, that's a lie.
But like I watched the first season of Game of Thrones. Not my thing. It's not my thing. But I'm sure the Boys has gotten a lot better since I watched the first season. I stopped after that chick crushed that dude's face when they were having sex.
Right.
After that, I was like, I'm good. I just never got back into it. But I heard it's good.
Speaking of shows that you trash that you've never watched before, tomorrow, new episodes of The Bachelorette airing tomorrow.
You're excited.
2 Bachelorettes this time, Derek. 2 of them.
Ooh. So what?
stupid.
So is Jesse into this?
No,
just you.
Just me. Jesse
All
hates it.
I fucking love it.
Yeah.
So she'll be watching the Giants game while you're watching Bachelorette.
Yeah, we're gonna have the Bachelorette on the big screen. We'll have the Giants game on the small screen without the volume on.
Is Emmanuel Acho hosting that now? No, wait.
No.
It's what's his face?
Jesse Palmer.
Jesse Palmer. the old quarterback who was on the
Yeah.
show back in the
Although
day.
I will say, like, even though the guy, the previous guy, Chris Harrison, like, there were the charges of
Yeah.
racism and all that
Yeah.
stuff against him, he did kind of make the show just because of how corny he was. So not having him there as
This
the host, it's a little different. Yes.
is the final rose.
Yes. Yes. Coming up. Anyway.
So wait, so what's the thing? So they have two women being the Bachelorette, and the guys have to choose.
I guess, dude. I don't know how the hell
It's
this
going
is
to be a
gonna work.
wild, wacky season on the Bachelorette, baby.
Oh, and I tell you, I can't wait.
Who got you into that? Was your mom, or you started watching on your own?
Nah, my buddy.
Nice.
My buddy Tyler, because he was watching it with his girlfriend. He goes, dude, he goes, you should watch this. It's pretty entertaining.
I
And
will
we did.
admit, I probably have said this before. There was a week where I was hanging out with my mom in Boca Raton, Florida. Not a lot to do. She watched The Bachelor. I think it was on like every night, or something along those lines. Or maybe it was just because we were catching up on DVR or whatever. I watched it with her, even though it was trash. I was hooked.
Yeah. Yeah. You get hooked
Especially-
into it.
It was the season right before COVID, so you probably remember this, Steven. The guy picked a girl and then changed his mind.
Mm.
And then they had like the sit down, and even his own mom was like, "This is the wrong one, honey. You're wasting your life."
Yeah.
Scandalous.
That was I forgot what they were called. Ernie, Better Call Saul. I don't get it.
That's back. Yeah.
I don't get Better Call Saul.
What do you mean you don't get it?
Like, why is it so good? I don't get, like, I watched like the 3.5 seasons, but I just had like no desire to continue watching it.
I completely understand that. It is a slow burn. It is basically nostalgia for Breaking Bad fans, but less interesting.
Well, I'm as big of a Breaking Bad fan as anybody, but I don't know. I watched
It's less
it, I was like,
interesting.
I just don't get it. I just didn't get the hype.
It's basically the
that's just me.
backstory, and it's coming to a head. This is the final season. I love also when it's kind of lazy to me now, where shows are like the second half is the final season. They break it up in 2 parts. Yeah, I can admit that there are times where it's kind of boring, but I like Bob Odenkirk's character a whole lot, and it's also cool. Like, yeah, I fall into the trap. I like seeing Mike, and I like seeing Gus Fring again in a show. It could end with Walter and Jesse making an appearance, but yeah, it's not amazing, but it's interesting, and it's a lot better than a lot of shit on TV right now. So just because I've invested so much time into it, I'm gonna finish it, but it's not an amazing show, I would say.
Right. Yeah, no, I know. I'm not trying to say it's like a bad show or anything, but like I've seen people say it's like the best show on earth, even better than Breaking Bad. And I was just watching 3.5 seasons in, like it's not better than Breaking Bad.
No, it's not. It's not better than Breaking Bad.
Yeah,
That's a crazy thing.
So I just think it's a little overhyped, but that's just me.
That's just your opinion, man.
That's just.
And then
opinion,
Ernie
man.
brought it up to the Clerks 3 trailer dropped. I saw that. Yeah, I don't know if we need 3 Clerks. But I do love Kevin James, or not Kevin James, Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
Kevin James is okay, although his movies are terrible.
Yep.
But I will probably check out Clerks 3, even though it doesn't look amazing.
Yeah, I'm all right.
Before we get out of here, 2 tough guys on screen. We lost Ray Liotta last month, and now we've lost 2 other mafia actors. James Caan passed away, and then Tony Sirico, who most people know as Paulie Walnuts from The Sopranos. You ever watch The Sopranos, Steven?
Only watched the first season.
Okay, couldn't get into it.
That wasn't one of those where I couldn't get into it. It's just I was watching the first season, then I got caught up doing other things. I really got to watch like the second and continue on. I liked the first season a lot.
Great show.
I just haven't watched the rest. I don't know why.
Both of those guys pass away. I love James Caan in The Godfather playing Sonny, and a lot of people remember him from Elf being the dad.
Yes.
Other great movies he's been in, Bottle Rocket, if people have seen it with Wes Anderson. He's hilarious in some movies. None come to the top of my head real quick. Paulie Walnuts, or Tony Sirico as Paulie Walnuts is the only thing I know him from. He's like briefly in Goodfellas for like one scene, but both guys, fantastic actors, mostly related to mafia stuff that they've been in the past as far as movies. But yeah, sad to see those guys going, and someone better make sure that Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro, and Al Pacino are all doing well.
Yeah, we need to we're on this little streak here
Brian song,
with
yes,
these
good call, Ernie.
podcasts. We're on these streaks here with this podcast where it's there's always a rest in peace segment.
Yeah,
Like, my goodness, it's just sad, man. It's just
It is sad.
constant. Every week somebody else, and the people you
Yeah.
don't even expect.
sad.
That's all I got on it.
Yeah, no, I know. And yeah,
Yeah, I
Brian
don't know-
song. And you ever seen The Program?
Yeah,
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
the head coach in
The
the program.
right. Yep. All of those different things. It's just like, damn. Like another one just gone. And then there's that Misery movie with him and Kathy Bates.
Oh yeah,
Yikes.
forgot about Misery.
Yeah.
That's a disturbing one.
Wood blocks.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, that about wraps it up.
Yeah.
What's happening next week? MLB All-Star Game. That's about it.
Yeah, well, there's a futures game. I like the baseball's futures game.
Yeah,
I like the futures game.
I forgot about the Futures game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do love the
And I did watch the program, Ernie. Yes, I did, but that was back in college. It's kind of the same way that I watched the old version of The Longest Yard. Watched it. Don't remember a ton about it.
Same here. It's been a while since I've seen the Longest Yard. I remember the Adam Sandler one a lot more. Yeah, James Wiseman plays tonight.
Oh, yeah. That's an exciting one.
I guess we'll pay attention to that for a little bit. We're kind of a down period, but we'll still keep doing this podcast. And I like the home run derby. We'll talk about that next week.
Yeah, the home run derby's cool. I don't know who's even participating in it next year.
I don't either.
Or this year. So
I'll tell some old funny home run derby stories from when I went to the home run derby back in 2007.
Ooh. Can't wait for that one because I was there too.
If that doesn't hold you over, and I know we promised everybody last week that we would do a podcast where we eat just Cheez-Its the whole time. We'll say that for another time.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot about
Just
that.
stuff our face with Cheez-Its.
Yes.
All right, man. Until next time, Steven, say what you always say, my friend.
It's just